Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex with Meta Endurance, and in today's video we are reviewing the NewBalance SC Elite V5. This is NewBalance, brand new super shoe, their top of the line race day shoe that will be seen on the feet of their elite athletes and many of you as well probably in the future. This video is sponsored by Iron. Iron is a retailer here in Europe. They are shipping to many European countries and they have no interest in me giving a good or bad review about the shoe. They are carrying many brands. And yeah, NewBalance is just one of them. You will be able to purchase the NewBalance SC Elite V5 at Iron later on this year around summertime for 280 euros. The price point in dollars is $250. And with that, it's a good segue to go to the specs. The sack height on the SC Elite V5 is 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for that 8 millimeters drop. The SC Elite V4 was announced as a 40-36 with a 4 millimeter offset. So this now is an 8 millimeter drop. It's more drop, less foam also in the forefoot, going down from 36 to 32. At least according to NewBalance numbers. Like I said already, the price point will be 280 euros, $250. And the weight for my size US 11 is 241 grams. Keeping in mind that this shoe is still slightly wet from yesterday's race at the London Marathon. We're just one day after a London Marathon that I raced with this shoe. And therefore, I believe it's probably a few grams more than it should be because it's still a bit wet. So let's go at 235, low 240s for this shoe, which is on the heavier side of things for a race day shoe. It's better than the SC Elite V4. The SC Elite V4 in my size was coming at 265, 268 grams. So this is still a good weight drop. But nowadays with shoes in the 170, 180, 190 range in my size US 11, this is on the heavier side of things. Looking at the upper, you might be wondering where this beautiful colorway is coming from, and there's a good story about it. It all comes back to 1999 when Khalid Hanouchi, a runner from Morocco that later became an American citizen, ran the Chicago Marathon, I believe, in 2:05:42. You can fact check that because I am just giving you these numbers from the top of my head, so it could be a bit different. But Khalid Hanouchi was wearing a shoe called the RC110 in a colorway very similar to this. And NewBalance design team took their inspiration from that shoe back in the early 2000s, and they designed this a very nice, very good looking colorway of the SC Elite V5. But that's just for the design, the colorway, very subjective take on it. Obviously, when it comes to the comfort, the fit, the upper itself, let's go a bit deeper into it. The fit is true to size. As you probably know, NewBalance is a bit weird when it comes to sizing. Some of their shoes are running short, some are running long. This one is running true to size for me. I had absolutely no issues, no chafing, nothing like that during the 42 kilometers I ran with this shoe yesterday at the London Marathon. So this is a good sign already. It's on the more narrow side of things, which you could expect for a race day shoe. And I would say in general, it's a fit that is closer to your foot. It's not leaving much room or volume empty in this upper. The heel is a relatively solid construction. There's quite some material, quite some padding, probably hence also the weight coming from here. The tongue is padded exactly where you need it, meaning at the top of it where the laces are being closed, are being laced. It's a semi-gusseted tongue, and as you can see, that material is quite pliable, almost feels a bit stretchy. I don't think it's stretchy, but it feels like it is, and it's a nice material. I don't know if this is still called Phantom Fit like on the SC Elite V4. I don't think it's the case, but if I had to choose between the two uppers and the two fits, I would probably go for the SC Elite V5 compared to the previous SC Elite V4. And the insole sock liner is glued in the shoe. I think if you were to pull, if you just pull it, you can remove it. So it's removable. And by the way, it's very flimsy. I don't know when brands will start working on insoles and sock liners. When it comes to the midsole, we have a fuel cell midsole. Fuel cell, as you know, is a generic name covering many different things, many different cookings of materials. This is 100% PIBA midsole material, meaning that it's very soft, very responsive, and it's that top of the line foam, next generation foam. There's TPE, PIBA, ATPU, all of them are high up there. This is 100% PIBA with now a different construction, a different geometry compared to the SC Elite V4. 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, 8 millimeters drop. It makes you a bit more angle, a bit more on your toes. It makes you also want to kind of heel strike a bit more or strike a bit more towards the back of the shoe and transition to the forefoot to be on your toes and be propelled. The SC V4 had a bit more of that midfoot tendency, if that makes sense. And we'll come back to the ride, but that's what the geometry does to these two shoes. It makes this shoe a bit more aggressive as well, in my opinion. And that's also because of how the midsole is constructed. There is obviously a plate sandwiched in between two layers of midsole, and that plate is stiffer in the forefoot than it used to be. Meaning that this shoe, you can bend it, but you can't bend it much. And especially here in the forefoot, there's not much room for bending it. It's quite stiff and you can feel that stiffness under your forefoot. And I'll come back to this here in a very short second when I'm describing the ride of the shoe to you. What changed to the midsole, you can feel in the ride, and that's, I think, super true here. The changes brought to the midsole by the NewBalance team are something you can definitely feel and experience when you're running in the shoe, meaning that you have less foam in the forefoot and your forefoot is sitting on top of a much more stiff plate. It makes it a bit harsher in the forefoot, a bit more aggressive as well, because you have more of a firm, dense platform to push on, but it makes it a bit less enjoyable when your legs are fatigued at the end of a race, like a marathon, for instance. In general, I would say that the one thing that struck me is the reduction in width of the shoe. This is probably one of the ways that NewBalance reduced the weight of the shoe compared to the SCD4, and they also reduced the width. If you compare two shoes side by side, I don't have the SCD4 here with me in the office, but what would struck you is how much more narrow the midfoot of this shoe is compared to the SCD4. We're probably talking, close to 1 centimeter, so 10 millimeters of width reduction between the two shoes, and you can really feel it. The SCD4 was a very friendly, it could be, the first marathon shoe for many runners, fairly stable despite the very soft and very high, high displacement of the midsole on the SCD4. Here you still do have that displacement, that softness in the foam, but with much less width, meaning that you are also less stable in the shoe. And yeah, it feels just like many other super shoes, less stable than something like the SCD4 that was very friendly when it came to stability. Because you are also kind of more on your forefoot and experiencing a bit less the heel, you don't really feel the bounce of the PIBA. At least I didn't feel it that much, but again, I only ran one race, one marathon in this shoe. I believe it's already quite enough to give you a first impression review here on the channel, but I feel like this shoe would be better off on a 5K, 10K, maybe half marathon distance, because again, of how much more aggressive, how harsher and firmer it feels underfoot. And the weight reduction is definitely a good thing for the marathon as well. But what's missing here for me is that extra stability and that extra plushness and softness underfoot for the marathon distance. Does it mean it's a bad shoe? Not at all. I think it's a better shoe than the SCD4 when it comes to shorter distances. But if I were to run again a marathon tomorrow, I would, and I won't do that, I would probably run in the SC Elite V4 instead of the SC Elite V5. The outsole has also been changed. There is still that groove in the middle, allowing for a bit of decoupling and also allowing for some stones to be cut in here. But most importantly, the outsole texture and material changed. It felt grippy. Yesterday was obviously dry in London, very hot day, but I know it felt grippy because I ran in some water puddles on the course. We had some water being sprayed all over us at different places on the course of the London Marathon. And when you're transitioning from a dry surface to a wet surface, that's where you can really experience how the grip is. If you're running only on the wet, if a shoe's bad, it's bad, but then you kind of tend to get into that foot strike pattern and gait cycle where you repeat the same foot strike that accommodates the wetness or the humidity on the surface you're running it. When you're transitioning in between the two, or when you're transitioning from, let's say, gravel to mud, whatever the transition is, that's where you can really experience, in a snap of a second, the grip and the different feelings you have underfoot. And I transitioned from dry to wet a few times in the race, and I didn't have any issues. So I would rate this pretty high, and we noticed that the heel in this shoe, the heel rubber, was literally intact after the race. It's pristine. I think there's really a good durability potential with that heel and with that rubber material here on the SC Elite V5. This shoe will release for €280, $250 around the summertime. I don't have a specific date to share with you right now. Should you buy it? I think the answer is in the video. Yes, for shorter distances. Yes, if you're a fan of New Balance and the Super Comp Elite line and you want something lighter, something more agile, something more aggressive. No, if you're interested only in the marathon distance, you need stability, you're maybe a bit of a heavier runner. All of these choices, preferences, people should probably lean towards the SC Elite V4, also because you will find good deals once this shoe releases on its predecessor. Like I said again, this video is sponsored by Iron. There's a link in the description if you want to purchase this shoe or any other one on their websites. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today. Enjoy your ride. Go beyond your limits, and I will see you in the next one.